can't hear it. All right, here he goes.
Welcome all you sexy human beings to Center of Light Radio, Center of Divine Foldment and Reinforcement. Strap in all my brother and sister astronauts. We launch for inner space. Last night during sleep, during awakening, I went to the center of the earth. I didn't go to hell. I hung out with the Agarthans for a while. This is not something I often do as far as the Agarthans, but I was shown a conveyance. And it was also told there can very well, more likely, a team, if you will. I was told a team is going to come topsoil, check things out, do some of their inner earth magic to balance things around a little bit. Tonight, my guest is Laura Eisenhower. I have been posting in the forums how to follow her. I think there may be some more ways of contacting her, but I only found one. So we're going to give her the opportunity to let us know how we can find more about her and what she's doing. Center of Light Radio. The world is beautiful. It's a beautiful mess. We have to find our balance, do our best. We can point the finger all we want. But when we want to take charge and responsibility, full responsibility, believe it or not, there are 8 billion universes on this planet, because there are 7.8 billion people walking around. Everyone has their twist, their spin, their lean into their slant. There's a truth that wins its way through all of it. And that's the job of every seeker, is to find that common thread that brings us all together to eat the common bread. Let me tell you a little bit about my guest tonight. Welcome to Center of Light Radio. My guest tonight is Laura Eisenhower. She is a global alchemist, researcher, and medical intuitive astrologist. The great-granddaughter of President Dwight David Eisenhower, Laura integrates knowledge of health, exopolitics, alchemy, metaphysics, and galactic history. Let's get down to some Center of Light beeswax. Welcome to Center of Light, Laura.
Hey, it's really great to be here, Keith.
There you are.
Thanks for having me. And yeah, I'm wearing a little cap here tonight. No, it's really great to be here, and I really appreciate what you just shared. I mean, I resonate with just your stance on things and how you were able to kind of share your thoughts about what I'm here to do in your own words. It's very encouraging, and I really appreciate being here with you. So thanks.
How are things in your part of the world? Cold?
Roll cult, right? Well, I'm a family cult. I got my husband, I got pigs, goats, dogs, cats, chickens, roosters, and Darth Vader, which is this black rooster who's literally the bully of the land. I'm learning to just work it out with Darth. But yeah, the whole cult thing is funny that you bring it up, because when we're looking at truthers or disclosure, there's a lot of different compartmentalization things that I thought were calling out, after Project Paperclip and all the different MK Ultra programs. But when one is witnessing how communities are coming together, I found it very interesting how rampant, like I could spell that it still is, and I'm one to turn the sword on myself. It's like, but yeah, it doesn't mean it can't be healed. It's just bringing up what needs to be healed. So we should feel more encouraged than victimized by these sort of social engineering and false flag psychological operation assaults, and just be able to have a greater conversation that can help repair it, instead of buy into pieces of it or people acting out without being able to come back to center and say, hey, there's my labs, there's altars, there's MK Ultra, there's Monarch programming. And so I've really gravitated towards those that are able to share their stories without being the altar that's trying to really mess with things. So that has been kind of the best news lately for me, is getting in touch with folks like Kathy O'Brien, Laura Worley, and Derek Atchison, and like bringing them together, because they've overridden these MK Ultra satanic ritual abuses programs. And to me, they're shining the light, and we need to shut up our petty differences and literally listen to people like them. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I know you're like, you just wanted me to say hi. It's like, well, she's already starting up, like, and I got this weird.
I already love it. I love that you go into your fire. I just love it. Other than your great-grandfather being Double D Eisenhower, and I'm assuming that there's some things that floated through the family conversations, but putting that aside, how did you get into the world of metaphysics, simply being able to pull back to a broader perspective and seeing things closer by stepping back? Was this something that was always innate in you, or for like many of us, was it a painful scenario that said, I'm going to hoist you up, sister?
Well, I think it's both. Gosh, what you just said. Being born into this family, is like, we can all identify with being a black sheep of any family. And then, when the presidential and also general persona of Eisenhower that showed up to me as a child, and then realizing, oh wait, I was like born into this family, and I would look on the bookshelves and just see all this stuff, and I would see all the outer sort of, well, it first started with a Weekly World News article. When I was 9 years old, I was standing in the checkout line of a grocery store, and it was Weekly World News, which is literally like what The Onion is today, kind of like parody, sort of fake news. And when I saw that as a kid, I'm like, this is actually, there's a lot of truth to this, and this needs to be explored. It wasn't like I was just going to laugh it off like a lot of people do. And there's no judgment on anybody that does, but it really started to fuel a curiosity. And it really helped me to understand a lot of the stuff that I went through that I didn't necessarily created breakthroughs with family members about. It was like really on me to figure out. And it's no judgment on them or smearing them. It's just, it was a little bit, sort of like when we've all been through the school systems, right? So the people that don't get good grades, are they considered stupid? They need to go to the guidance counselor. Like they have, I really started to understand star seeds and these greater missions that aren't going to cut it if you're going to sit there and just be compliant and sit there in class and now it's getting worse, right? Our children are being masked. And the indoctrination is way worse when I was in the school system. But, my rebelliousness was always looked at as a lack of intelligence, or you're just like, what's wrong with you? You're not getting good grades. And I'm not saying from my family, but just society. And now we're seeing the next level of it all, which is way darker and at the same time more obvious. And in a lot of ways, it facilitates a greater awakening. Like, wait a second, we throw our kids in the school system hoping they get good grades, they'll be accepted into some great, Ivy League university, this and that. But I really feel, this time of great awakening, unfortunately, is being filtered through an incredible amount of pain and confusion and a feeling of betrayal. And then when it comes down to what gets poked in us, one of the things about this greater awakening that really troubles me is that, what's going to wake you up is seeing your own child or a family member really suffer under this level of programming. So we're infinite beings, and, we can concentrate our thought forms on the storylines that really devastate us. But if we look at the larger picture of it all, I feel if somebody holds good intention or didn't quite realize it, even if they ignored family members that could have given them a clue, if they literally hold any sense of integrity and really were just making choices because they thought it was the best thing that they could do in the circumstances, even if they negated people that were trying to help them to see the deeper layers, that it's all going to work out and it's all going to be okay. And I refuse to accept any other reality. And, you know, maybe I'm foolish and idealist about it, but I know the power of the human spirit and what we're capable of doing when we stay aligned with love, spirit, and truth, regardless of when we actually wake up to it, alchemizes all these assaults and dark weapons. And that is what's kind of keeping me going. Doesn't mean I'm not on a massive roller coaster. And, you know, I was like, I really appreciate you interviewing me, but like, I'm not going to show up like at my best. I probably sound like and like, what is up with this hat? It's like Jimmy Crack corn. I don't care, but I do care. So. But anyway, I'll leave it at that.
So when I made contact with you a couple of weeks ago, I asked you for the interview and you said, sure. And I said, you know, what's your heart fire? What do you want to talk about? And you gave me a bullet list of different titles. And out of all of them, I loved all of them, but something said, Awaken the Dormant DNA. So tell me more about how do we begin this process? What is the end game for doing? Why would someone want to be, what would motivate them to want to go through the painstakingness of awakening the dormant DNA? And how do we do that?
When we look at the concept of awakening dormant DNA, I think it pulls people out of their comfort level. Like, oh, am I missing something? Or I need to learn something? Or everything that I learned is not correct? Or like, what do I need to do in order to be able to attain that? Do I need to take this workshop or listen to this guru or follow this protocol of, you know, somebody outside of yourself? Yeah, I mean, it's sort of a survival response to the responsibility that we all hold within ourselves to just be able to step up to the plate and be willing to go through the dark night of the soul's journey and be willing to look at our partnerships, our relationships with family, friends, children, society, our jobs, our careers, and just look at it and just be like, okay, there's a higher road. And it doesn't mean higher doesn't accept lower. There needs to be an integration of polarity on that level to begin to appreciate how sacred union can begin to blossom out of some of these painful connections. Because if it's just an intellectual war, you know, where, oh, I'm right, and, you know, or, you know, over there, it's like, we're missing the point if we're this competitive. It's like, all right, despite all of that, can we remove ourselves from whatever definition of intelligence is, whether it's streamed through a new age deception or an indoctrination program through a university or ancestral patterns you're still hanging on to, or like if you watch too much like Fall Guy, Scooby-Doo, like 70s, 80s like shows and sitcoms and, you know, following like the whole celebrity Hollywood stuff. I mean, can we just step back and appreciate that we're going to be confused by all of it?
You know, Laura, I think we're being forced to step back. I think we're being forced to step back by things that are beyond our control. Since you haven't done it yet, the universe is going to push us into taking the step that we've been so resistant and hesitant of doing. And, you know, I've said many times before, and I understand as I look out about in the world, I see people's life turned upside down. And dichotomy-wise, duality-wise, there are other people who found themselves. What this whole 2 years has done for me, it's given me liberation because I've learned to unplug from certain things that are not real, illusory they are, tempting they are, and they're fun. I love living on the outside of the line. I'm not here to adhere to the rules because you can't break a law. That's why it's law. And it's okay to cross the line, but know where your home base is. You have to come back. But once you stay on this side of the line a little bit too long, the event horizon of that current will pull you in. And no matter how balanced and right, and I don't mean right as in right and wrong, but right that you're righted within yourself, that one thinks they are, the illusion is so strong, it can have you believing that you are in correct step after step after step. And so this is a very precious time that's giving us all of the vision, again, to see closer by literally pulling back. Basically, we're getting kicked in our pants.
Well, we get kicked in our pants just being born into whatever families and, you know, the ancestral patterns or the way we're raised or what's modeled to us. I mean, starting from childhood, it's like the battle has begun. And it doesn't have to be a duality kind of battle, as in right or wrong. Am I still with you? You know, it all starts so young. And then you got those that are born into, you know, whatever, Illuminati, 13 families, a dark cabal, where they literally target you in the womb. And they're literally relying on these people to perpetuate the narratives or play certain roles of influence to convince those that haven't been through that level of torture or mind control to just comply. And very well-intentioned people are complying because they can't even imagine that this kind of stuff hides behind the social engineering and narrative.
You know, I actually think that is exactly it. I think that is exactly it. Most people who are going at this gimmick, this circus, this facade, full force, one, I don't think they necessarily lean into the belief that I need this because everything's dangerous right now. I think you're on the money completely, which is I don't dare allow myself to think the possibility that such evil, and I never use that word, such evil exists in the world, even to only acknowledge the things that are floating around somewhat in mainstream. God forbid if they were rabbit hole seekers and go into the rabbit hole and find some of the, okay, they're using adrenochrome, blood from children. That's horrible. Absolutely. There's more. There's more.
Yeah, because a huge part of the ritual of it all is to siphon and harvest the energies of the people that are putting them on pedestals or literally like shutting down their own life force or calling or mission or just being like connected to their own truth. They're literally like just sitting back, and I'm you know, the most lame kind of archetype I could say is, you know, eating a bunch of potato chips, watching the football game, you know, getting your Playboy magazines, watching your movie, you know, and relationships suffer. Your relationship with your parents suffer, and it's either passed down or it's just society like really capturing your essence, you know, as a child and saying that this is like the human condition, this is the way humans are. And I think people like you and me are like, I think we're made of a lot more. And when I first started to do readings and I really connected to people that were trafficked to royal family, the Trudeaus and all this stuff, you know, it really cut like the bullshit of, you know, what you might find on the internet. And I'm not saying like David Icke is one of my, you know, favorite people, one of the like the most pioneering people. So I'm not trying to invalidate anybody, but you know, there's this thing about, okay, what's disinformation? And okay, here's the list of people on Epstein's flight list or in his black book. Okay, so there might be the socialites that don't participate. But what I've learned from a lot of the people I've interviewed, they're still just as much a part of the ritual, right? So in the times that we're in, what really gets me is they're putting out nail polish lines, clothing lines, and they're just smiling with their, and it's like, did you not hear the latest information from somebody like Ali Carter, who was trafficked and abused and was passed around through the tunnels of what's underneath Getty? Did they miss that? And so you get your like Kardashians, you get your like Jessica Albas, and they're all smiling. They're like, oh, here's my latest like nail polish line. Did you guys miss the fact that the industry that you're in is trafficking children? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? So I need to calm down. But you know what I mean?
I do. And I have no issue with the use of language, provided it's used in the I have no issue with the use of language, period. But I love when people use powerful words correctly, meaning fuck. It has a various amount of uses, and it's the most powerful word. So likewise, when we look out into the world and we see all the nonsense going on, being offended about everything, if you truly offended about 4 letters being arranged in such a way that creates such an utterance, the issues you have with yourself are larger than you can possibly imagine, because it ain't with me. So how do we begin this process of awakening the dormant DNA? And of course, we know about meditation and love. Come here, baby, all that good stuff. But how do we really, like you said earlier, I don't know if you said it in the show or in the radio green room, I don't, quote, have an issue. I understand everybody's on their level, and beautiful as it is, they're expressing wonderful possibilities. But there's a pseudo spirituality going around, and people are so gung-ho to throw out the word 5D and ascension and starseed. And I get all of that. It's fun. I play in those arenas as well. But when it becomes a crutch to try to move deeper into the awakening of the human being via the 12 strands of DNA that we're trying to ignite and have ablaze, what are some ways you would offer to us?
Well, I appreciate what you just said, because there's the defining of it or like the teachings of it. But to me, it's so personal. Our relationship with God's source is unique and personal. And to me, oneness is diversity and harmony. Like, everybody, whoever they are, whatever sovereign, unique expression that they hold, they're going to hold it on the highest level and be able to harmonize with the uniqueness and creativity of everything around them. And so you might look at, nature, which I do a lot. My background is wilderness expedition leadership, and I, for many years got certified and all this stuff, got degrees, and it's like, did that really happen? Yeah, it did. I'm literally approved to take like a huge group of people into the harshest of cold, 30 below, and it almost feels like a past life. Like I guess my point is, we have all this great potential. When we look for outer approval, or we need to do it for some nefarious reason because somebody convinced us that they're going to bind us to whatever their agenda is, we need to be bold enough to stand in the face of it and say, I don't think so. To me, that creates a greater protection. And if we keep reliving an attachment to an outer authority, even though, it's helped us along the way, whether it was through college, school systems, even my wilderness journeys, I realized, I sucked at school, by the way. I was going to make a point. I mean, any outer authority and indoctrination program, everybody needs to step back and say, is my intuition in agreement, or is my ego only looking for the reward, the trophy? There's a big difference between wanting to pursue the gold medal and the trophy and the reward versus saying, all right, I might step away, it might make me look bad, but I'm willing to stand in truth, which is beyond reward. It generates a frequency that helps other people to have more permission to accept the so-called failures as maybe being a huge source of their hidden genius.
It helps other people to accept their failures. I love it. That's fantastic.
Like a hidden genius. It's like, why are we judging this? It's like, okay, but go ahead. I'll shut up. Oh my God. But
no, that was it. I was just echoing what you said and how brilliant. I thought it was just perfect. You know, the truth is a frequency that when we hold it steadily as possible, it becomes a beacon of light and hope, and it's an anchor for the truth. And we are now the embodiments of the prophecy. We become this, we become the guru simply by example, the way showers, the light workers, the warriors, the rebels, the black sheeps, all this beautiful word analogy we can icing this cake with.
Well, I mean, I feel very comfortable in what we just shared, even if it's not like popular opinion or it's not, every once in a while, I have to admit, I check the news feed part of like Facebook, and it's like, I don't know whether to laugh or cry, and I don't want to dry heave or throw up because I like, you got to be kidding me. And it's like, this is all they can do. And, for a lot of people, it's comforting because they want to live through people that seem to be like successful, rich, and beautiful. But it's like, how much is it limiting the person that's watching from being able to step up and no, not to get like your hair extensions and you're like perfectly because you had your, and your whatever butt implants, and even if you didn't have butt implants in your ass, is like great. That is the most lame thing for us to be focusing on right now because we have children, we have future generations to look out for. It's like, I'm so happy for you that your ass is like the best thing that ever happened to the universe. This is not cool as far as I'm concerned, at all.
And I think all these things, I think all these things are revealing to us what is needed, what is truly important. And so the more they begin to show themselves, let them show themselves. That's their heaven on earth. We can always change the channel and find our own worth. But even before we have the functionality to use the remote to change said channel, where it mirrors to us the realization that I'm just simply not interested in this nonsense. So it does serve the purpose of helping us to realize what is important. With the COVID, with the vax, with the this freaking circus out here, I get it. And, that worked for a while, like you said earlier. There were ways for people, it helped people get food stamps, it helped people unemployment, this, that, and the other. And it's okay to lean on your brother. If I'm going to walk in the snow to the grocery store because I don't have a car and someone's going to pull up next to me and offer me a ride, I'm going to get in the car. But until the driver realizes that, you need to get yourself your own damn car. Or the person realizes, thank you for always helping me, but I'm going to find my own willpower and my own power and will do what I need to do to make sure that I'm self-sufficient.
Well, I think we all help each other in that. And you just nailed it with what you just said. Like sometimes, when I took an Uber drive, because I, wasn't able to switch my license over from California to Montana or whatever, sometimes I had the best conversation with the Uber drivers. Sometimes, at like weird gatherings, there's a synchronicity or an ability to create a greater dialogue. But I guess with what we're saying is there are some people that like literally need to fit a certain model to be validated, when if they could break that, they might be some of the greatest like creative beings ever, and like they're just being held hostage by these Illuminati. Do you kind of know what I mean? It's like okay, so I interviewed Laura Worley, who just wrote a book, and Kathy O'Brien and I have been friends for a long time. And so Derek Atkinson, I just did an interview with, and they were both survivors, and they both are survivors of satanic ritual abuse. One of their big conclusions were they're using your abilities. They want to fragment you, create altars to take some of your potential that they can split your personality into, not realizing that they're using it. And they can take a bit of your potential and use it for their own means. So this last interview, I think it was with you. It's all blending in together. That this kind of like trauma-based mind control and compartmentalization they're still drawing upon the source energy of that particular individual. And what Laura and Derek were saying, which I'm going to put a little blip out, and the longer version will be on Conscious Vitality Network, where they're saying, you know, even if we have all these altars, and they're like, we have 200 altars, you know, we are trafficked to the Trudeaus and the royal family and this and that. They're like, regardless of the dark technologies and mind control tactics that they used, they were pulling pieces of ourselves. So it wasn't just like an altar, like, oh, what, you know, you're just channeling somebody. No, those are pieces of them. These people are so strong. And I think I interrupted and it just went off on a tangent. But I mean, it's like we can be facing the most hardcore thing that might like make us feel like, because I was asking them about that, like, you know, where you can't quite figure it out. They didn't recover their memories until like after their 30s. And like, you know, and then I was asking myself, you know, before I even talked to them, like, maybe I've gone through that, right? So I did all this in regression. Maybe I have a bunch of altars. Anyway,
you know, Laura, I don't think people. I think people have the faculties to look out and about and all around and see the demonic qualities that are being played and attempted to be played. But not many people realize the level of MK Ultra and mind control that is happening beyond the things that we see that are they're trying to play on us. I know this from a fact because 2.5 whatever years ago, I was in a car wreck, flipped over, barrel rolled 3 times. Anyway, that being said, I posted some pictures because that's what we do on social media. We post what we ate last night. Well, I posted the car wreck that I ate the day before. And then a spiritual friend of mine who is an Indian, who is connected to a real guru, he said, a couple of years ago, well, sometime back, Keith did a presentation that someone in the underground did not like, and they brought his picture and brought him to the altar, and they sacrificed him, basically, as far as the ritual went, to have something happen to me. And therefore, but he told me he was connected to an avatar by the name of Shankar Maharaj, and I did the research, and there is such a being. But anyway, I don't think people know to what level MK Ultra is being played. I've been saying it for years, like you have, like many of us have. They're spraying this, guys. You think they're crop dusting from 40,000 feet? It's full of aluminum, barium. Who knows where this COVID came from? All this stuff.
Boom.
You know,
like that alone should have been a prerequisite to being able to be open-minded to the rest of it. And no, people can't accept it. They're like, I'm like, do you think this is just some like fucking flight school, like show, where everybody's going to just be spewing their, and oh no, it's contrails. And I remember like going to DC and being like talking to people, and they're like, I'm like, do you really think this is like a flight show where everybody's like, oh, check out my it's just like, no. And that was like way before this bullshit. All right, anyway, keep going. I just had to add.
No, you're fine. Let me ask you this. Even though things are chaotic, being of the level of spirituality and awareness that you have within yourself, do you see, strangely, do you see the chaos? Excuse me, do you see the order in the chaos?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's always the great awakening in the face of like the utter downfall and, you know, New World Order stuff. I mean, I feel like it's very similar to what we go through as humans or whatever we are, hybrids, humans, this or that. We have to go through the dark night of the soul. We have to confront the ancestral patterns and the control forces that have really touched us, you know, on a personal level, right? So when we look at it on a collective level, how are we going to possibly help the collective if we don't like win the war within ourselves and understand these different influences that are trying to sabotage our greater expression? And I mean, not like I have it figured out, but I remember, like, you know, I'm drifting off, you know, like.
I do that often. When I get into the
like,
energy, I often drift.
Yeah, just like trying to connect to family, like pursuing wilderness expedition leadership is like, you know, it's just a reminder. It's like there's no right or wrong here. It's like, are you attuned enough to be able to work with these universal forces to also understand that in this free will universe where there's, you know, fallen angelics, the Anunnaki, and this like really like unique situation that we're dealing with the fallen Milky Way system, like, what are we gonna fucking do? And I'm feeling good about like how I'm trying to process it, but I I'm at a loss in a lot of ways.
It's tough. I mean, we're living in a very wonky space. Things are moving around. They're bouncing around. Oh, look, a squirrel. And we look at the squirrel and we go and follow the squirrel and we become nuts. And there's a lot of pretty bells and shiny whistles everywhere.
Oh, that's so funny that you just said that. I know, and like that's my world. It's like that's why, you know, I have pigs and goats and dogs and cats, and I mean, but I can't interact with them very much because I'm like bedridden, and I'm like, you know, and I want to like, I don't know what to say, but these animals are everything, and I just feel, you know, like at the end of the day, we're reconciling all these different energies, whether it's ancestral patterns, whether it's a recent incarnation based on your parents or your partners or this or that, that we are being given a grand opportunity to create some sort of like, not necessarily internal peace, but a certain reconciliation that doesn't necessarily like want to sink down to the level of like, all right, you're going to be that kind of dick and like spray our skies. All right, guess what? You know, and I'm thinking like, why don't we have a coalition of people that are like gonna fucking fuck with the Council of Foreign Relations and the Bilderbergs? It's like, I'm like, all right, I'm not going to be the one that organizes like assassination programs to just take these motherfuckers out. You know how we win is that we love and we forgive and we understand the shadow side of ourselves and where we might have accidentally, you know.
You know, something you said just a minute ago, you just resounded that, but something you said a minute ago was, in order for us to get to heaven, you have to go to hell. You have to go into your stink. You have to go to the dark night of the soul. The best thing that any of us can do singularly, even though your life is happy right now and you think things are hunky-dory, go inside of yourself and bring up the funk and play with the funk till you know it so well that you can manipulate it. As long as you're turning away from the funk of your life, it's still buried in your subconscious. But when you look at it, and it may be scary, why would I ever want to visit this place? Because you have to. Either here or sooner or later, you will have to. So why not look at it? It will be intimidating. You stay there for 30 seconds and you go, this ain't quite so bad. And next thing you move through the illusion and you've ratcheted up, you've leveled up. The only way we're all going to get to heaven on earth is to go to hell together. Go there. If you believe, if you're a follower of the Christ, whoever you're the follower of, but in this example, the Jesus icon, if we're going to follow the master, he descended into hell. We got to follow his walk. We got to go into hell. And we have to right ourselves divinely in hell. And then the spell will be broken. It's just simply that easy.
But, you know, Jesus was leading the way for us all to go into that dark night of the soul and go through that death and resurrection process. And religion, you know, kind of like made it that we weren't a part of it and that we're lowly sinners. And that, I mean, my family was very religious and I grew up and all that. And they're some of the most awesome people. But I mean, I think you and I can agree that we all go through this dark night of the soul and death process, right? Or am I just like,
it's over and over every night that we go to bed, we're going through a death process because we're born anew in the morning, every breath.
So anyway, I know it's been so amazing to hang out with you, but like any final words? And I know we all gotta, I don't know. I'm not gonna be able to go to sleep. I'm probably gonna, I don't know what I'm gonna do.
You have a hamburger.
No,
I heard the background. Love it. You want to leave us with a final word, dear?
You know what I call myself? Flexitarian. I'm flexible. I'm flexible.
Did you want to leave us with a final thought?
No, it was you. You need to share the final thoughts.
Well, I mean, do you have a final thought you would like to share with the listening audience about what are you doing, where you are, and also how to find you? Because the contacting you is to the Gaia kind of page, but is there anything you want to offer us word-wise, but also how to contact you?
Mm-hmm. Well, my website, cosmicgaia.org. Yeah, I know. It's like there should be more. You know, I'm trying to like raise these bucks, but I did paint a bunch of stuff where people are like, I don't know if Laura's like doing very well, but so I have to say, in the last 3 days, I painted a lot and I didn't get any sleep. So I'm just trying to find balance. And as a Libra, you'd think it'd come more naturally. And I'm like, okay, you can do it. Oh my God, you got to figure it out. Figure it out. So no, I'm more turning it on you. Like, what can you tell us and where to find you? You know, you're just a treasure. Love you so much. And it's like, you know, cosmicgaia.org. You know, I'll try and like keep it updated, but no, you've been the coolest. And like, how can we find you?
I know you're a busy lady. I want to say thank you for joining us on Center of Light Radio. We'd love to have you back at any time to talk about anything that may come your way that may stimulate and excite everybody.
Well, I don't want to like ruin anything either, and I just appreciate your friendship and thank you so much. And you know, yeah. So I'm gonna go and snuggle with the goats, and they're not actually very snuggly, and I'm like, that's fine.
Holiday blessings to you and yours, dear.
You as well. Love you so much. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Anything.
And so much more to come. And you guys, as silly as some of it seems, you know, we're prioritizing. You know,
peace, love, and light, baby. Happy holidays. Right. Enjoy. All right. Everyone, Keith Anthony Blanchard here hanging out with Laura Eisenhower, talking about the craziness that's happening in the world. There's a lot of cray-cray going on. Just a lot. Things are moving. We use all we got. We either hit or not. But there's something beyond the hit, something beyond the not. And that's the you are. I'm going to take a song break. I'm going to come back and close off the show. Again, I want to say thank you to Laura Eisenhower. She's very, very busy. She's doing lots of interviews all the time, nonstop, to the level of her passion to want to be a part of a beautiful contribution to the awakening of this world. So stick around, take a song break. Going to be right back. Let's see what we have in the till here. The till. About time for a change. Let's see if it engages. It does not. How about breathe? There we go.
Trust that I will guide you in whatever you do. Just remember to breathe and do your very best to live in love, give in love, be in love, and love you shall receive.
Welcome back to Center of Light Radio. Good to see you tonight. Thank you for joining me in, no, let me say that Englishly, grammatically correct. Laura Eisenhower and myself. I got a couple of presentations I'm going to be doing. One tomorrow night. I'm not sure which one yet. Out of two, Miracle on 34th Street. Of course, I use movies and music and other things as inspirations to find analogously stories to weave in teachings. Or where do socks and lighters go? When you lose your socks in the dryer or the washer and the lighters that are in your pocket, where do they go? I'm going to have to fashion a storyline around that. Also know that December 26th, that is the working date at 10 p.m. Central Time, I'm going to be speaking to the divine. Let me see if I have a slide in this. Hopefully it's here. And it's not. Hopefully it's there. And it's not. But I'm going to be interviewing Swamji, God on Earth Today. You heard me correctly. We get the chance to ask questions. Have a sit-down session with the Almighty, if you will. If you have a question, don't make this psychic type question. It will be denied immediately. Will I get married? When? Or my deceased loved one's okay? None of that is allowed. It'll be shut down. You want to know something about your spiritual development? Why? How old is the earth? Mystical kinds of questions. What is in the best alignment for everyone kind of question? Submit it to KeithAnthonyBlanchard@gmail.com, and your question will be submitted for review. And if you are selected, you will be acknowledged as well as receive a shit ton of gifts from me. Everyone else, know that you are an amazing gift to me. The world's going to get very exciting come 2022, as if it has not been all along. People associate the word excitement with goodness. That's not what excitement means. Excitement means to be agitated, to be aroused, if you will. Come 2022, we're going to be excited. Both polarities are due to show their faces. One is not beautiful and one is not ugly. They're both beautiful. In understanding such, there's another level of beauty that abounds and happens all around when we come to that state of understanding. Because, like I said, with Laura, for 2 years, it exponentiated my growth for other people. It was the demise of a lot of their beautiful possibility and their ongoing life. Their livelihood completely just shifted to a level of hell. Well, we have to understand, each and every one of us, how to break the spell and to be able to tell what is truly a step into the garden or a step back into hell. Either way, none of us can tell until we live our best life, until we live the story that's already been told. The story is over. It's old. It's not new. We have to become anew to understand what we are due, and that is our divine birthright. Stand up, live in your might, shout it out to the universe. Who you are, why you are, what you are, and what you will do to see it through as your contribution to this experience we call humanity. God bless you. Happy holidays.